Welcome, everyone. And on behalf of the California Legislative LGBTQ Caucus, happy Pride Month. As many of us know, Pride wasn't always a celebration. It was inspired by an uprising at New York's Stonewall in June 1969. As many of you may know, a police raid in which gay men were savagely beaten without cause sparked this liberation movement, which we now stand together to remember, proud of our LGBTQ culture. Pride has been an opportunity to reflect on the trials and tribulations of the LGBTQ plus community and to commemorate the countless lives lost to the AIDS pandemic, and to remember our triumphs for progress and to honor our trailblazers. We absolutely give respect to those individuals who fought bravely to continue the fight for full equality. The need to celebrate Pride is just as vital today as it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and just about any other time. We saw how fragile our democracy was, especially under the Trump administration. Recently, numerous state legislatures have passed laws preventing trans youth from receiving gender-affirming medical care and from being who they are, letting kids be kids and playing in sports. But as we all know, we are not quitters, and we will never be silent. Over the last few years, the California State Legislature has been able to establish the month of June as LGBTQ Pride Month, revise existing statutes with gender-neutral pronouns, provide LGBTQ specific educational training for peace officers and dispatchers, and so much more, much due to the fact of our strong caucus members and openly LGBTQ legislators. I'm so proud to be part of this resilience. It's inspiring, and the diversity of our LGBT community is broad. While we want to acknowledge that celebrating Pride is something of an unfortunate reality, we know that we will be getting to the normalization of us celebrating in person and getting to celebrate Pride in person. So we are glad to celebrate the accomplishments of our incredible LGBTQ. We want to share them with you today. We'd also like to let you know that a virtual photo will be taken at the end of this event. Again, my name is Evan Lowe, and I've had the distinct pleasure of serving as chair of the California LGBTQ Legislative Caucus. And now I'll pass it along to my colleague and our vice chair of the California LGBTQ Legislative Caucus, Senator Susan Eggman, to introduce today's ceremony.
Hey everybody, it's Senator Susan Eggman. I am sorry that I can't be with you live virtually. But I want to take a minute just to say thank you for so much. And I'm so sorry that you all can't come to the Capitol, and we'll make time for that later. But just thanks to all of you who have done so much through the years, that we can see the evolution of our movement over this 40 years time that we're celebrating. So it is because of Californians like you that we continue to lead the way in issues around LGBT. We know there's still so much work yet to do, but we are grateful that we know that you're all doing it with us. So welcome to Pride this year. Thank you very much for agreeing to be honored, and I look forward to seeing everybody in person.
The California Legislative LGBTQ Caucus was formed in 2002 to create a forum for state legislators to discuss issues that affect our community and further the goals of equality and justice. California became the first state in the country to form an official caucus of openly LGBTQ state legislators, and we believe honoring and highlighting LGBTQ leaders and our allies will further our goals of inclusion and equality, as well as serving as role models for our youth. Each year, the California Legislature celebrates the month of June as LGBTQ plus Pride Month.
Every member of the LGBT community has a story.
After the passage of AB 2969 by Assemblymember Lowe in 2018, the governor officially proclaims every June Pride Month in California. In previous years, the caucus has invited honorees from around the state to attend a day-long celebration that included lunch and special floor ceremonies on the Assembly and Senate floor. Honorees were presented with a resolution in commemoration of their accomplishments and contributions to the LGBTQ+ community, and the caucus held an evening reception with Governor Gavin Newsom at the Governor's Mansion. Unfortunately, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the California Legislative LGBTQ Caucus's in-person celebration will not take place this year. Pride 2021 will be commemorated with a virtual twist to spotlight LGBTQ honorees for their accomplishments.
My name is Kim Tran. My pronouns are she, her, and hers.
Hi, my name is Connor Maddox. My pronouns are he, him, his.
I am Lloyd Holmes, and my pronouns are he, him, his.
My name is Lang Luntau. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I am the Director of External Relations for the Education Trust West.
My name is Drew Lloyd, and my preferred pronouns are he, him, his.
My name is Gary McCoy, and my pronouns are he, him, and his.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sunny, Dennis Sunny, and I go by he, him, and his.
Hi, everybody. My name is Luis Alfaro, and my pronouns are he, him, his.
Dr. Lloyd Holmes, president of De Anza College since July 2020, is an administrator with more than 25 years of experience in higher education and a track record of removing barriers to student success and retention.
My skin color and my sexuality has led to my desire and the requirement to work harder merely to prove my abilities. My experiences related to my race and sexuality have led me to desire to mentor others, to embrace others, to recognize the beauty in others while doing this work known as education. Whether that's inside the buildings of the academy or within the community.
Connor Maddox is a civil rights activist and retired program coordinator for Project Trans, the San Diego LGBT Center's first transgender program.
When I started working here in San Diego at the LGBT Center, I found many folks who needed help, and there was no one to help them. We had nobody here in San Diego actually doing much work for the trans community or within the trans community. So I joined with some other folks, but did a lot of the advocacy work through folks that I met at the center as they came in looking for help. When I first came to the center and asked about trans services, they looked at me like I had two heads. They didn't have anything, and that was back in 2003. So we've come a long way since then.
Roberta Achtenberg is a former commissioner of the United States Commission on Civil Rights, appointed by President Barack Obama in 2011.
I just want to say thank you. This honor means the world to me. Recognition by our LGBTQ community couldn't be more important. The sense of appreciation I feel is palpable. And again, thank you all so very much.
Bob Gentry was the first openly gay elected official in Southern California and the first openly gay mayor in California. Kim Tran works at the intersection of social protest, race, and gender, using a grassroots organizing and transformative justice approach in her anti-oppression consulting in the nonprofit, philanthropic, and social impact spaces.
I am led every day by a very simple guidepost. Be who you needed when you were younger. The person I needed who I was younger didn't exist. I wanted a role model, and I didn't have one. I never saw a queer Vietnamese woman at the front of a room. I had never seen a queer Vietnamese woman do social justice work at a professional level. And so I did everything that I wanted to see from a person when I was 16. I wanted to see someone get a PhD. I wanted to see someone be an organizer. I wanted to see someone hold their identities as something to be celebrated and to be proud of. And I do that every hour, every minute, every day.
Gary McCoy is the Director of Public Affairs for Health Right 360, which focuses on mental health and substance abuse treatment. He has dedicated his career to public service, and he has worked in the office of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, in addition to serving as co-president of the Alice B. Toklas LGBTQ Democratic Club.
I've been through a lot in my life's journey, and what's kept me going is having incredible opportunities that allow me to use my lived experience in helping others. There's nothing more rewarding to me than being able to help others that are on the same path I once was, and to see people turn their lives around.
Louise Alfaro, recipient of the prestigious John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation Fellowship, is a queer Chicano writer who was born and raised in the Pico Union District of downtown Los Angeles. He is known for his work in poetry, theater, short fiction, performance, and journalism.
I write about my Latino-ness, my Chicano-ness. I write about my queerness. I write about my otherness. I have a foot on one side of each side of the border. Sometimes that border is Mexico and the U.S., but sometimes it's between my queer identity and also the identity that I use in the world. Sometimes it's me as an educator, and sometimes it's me as an artist. So I'm always straddling two worlds. I'm always trying to have my foot on each side of the border, to be able to see two sides.
Dennis Soni leads CMTC's Inland Empire Regional Manufacturing Assistance Team, and for the past 6 years served as the acting chair for the Inland Empire Manufacturing Peer Council CEO program.
Queer representation in manufacturing promotes and supports diversity and inclusion. And it is diversity that fuels innovation. And the result of innovation is new California-made products.
Drew Lloyd is BAMEC board president and a successful national high-tech trial science and legal communications consultant who has pioneered bringing media and technology into the courtroom in more than 75 jury trials.
Ended up moving to Silicon Valley in the early 90s working for IBM. I created Rainbow Wireless as founder of Rainbow Wireless in the Castro in the mid-90s. I joined the board of the Billy DeFrank LGBT Community Center in San Jose so I could give back to the community. After that, I started early podcasting, and then that's really what took me to my career in trial science and litigation communications consulting today. Part of me is being gay. It's been a part of my entire personality throughout my entire career.
Lang Lung Tao is the Director of External Relations for the Education Trust West and has served as the President of the Stockton Unified School District Board of Trustees, the founding Executive Director of the Reinvent Stockton Foundation, and a high school ethnic studies teacher.
I'm a third-generation public school teacher. My parents taught in Stockton Unified for their entire careers. And so growing up, I spent a lot of time around educators. I think I developed very early on a reverence for the work that the teachers do. And so I just think the ability of a teacher to be able to hopefully positively impact someone's life trajectory and really the culture of a community always spoke to me.
George Murphy was an icon in San Diego's LGBTQ+ community and a founding member of the San Diego LGBTQ Community Center. He worked as an academic counselor at Grossmont College and was heavily involved in his church. Larry Baza was a dedicated LGBTQ+ activist who devoted his life to advancing civil and workers' rights. He passed away in February, but his legacy continues to reverberate across California, especially in San Diego, where he tirelessly advocated for the arts and greater access to education.
Well, I received some help and support when I was first transitioning, and I wanted to pass that down to others coming behind me. So when I moved to San Diego, I met some folks who were organizing to be advocates and activists. And so I joined them, and I found my passion. And it was just an amazing experience to be able to go out and work in the community and help folks. I think that helping is something that's just part of me, and I've done it all my life. So it was a natural fit.
I would train doctors, social workers, and teachers on what it would mean to work with our young folks. And as a part of that work, I met one of my really good friends to this day. During a conversation, we were talking about his job. At the time, he was working in tech, which is known as a liberal industry. And he told me that he would go into the office and would very frequently hear comments that were homophobic or transphobic. And he wasn't out at work. He didn't feel comfortable coming out at work. So folks would be saying things about his identities and had no idea that it would impact him and had no idea that it would be exclusionary or a problem in any way, shape, or form. And it got so bad that eventually he quit his job. And that conversation really changed what I do and how I do it. I thought, how many people all over the state of California or the country have similar experiences every day, that we can't bring our full selves to work? So I created an entire professional career around supporting people who are queer, who are trans, who are non-binary, to have work environments that feel safe, where they can thrive.
Being a gay man in recovery from substance use disorder and having lived on the streets as a young adult, my identity has helped me connect with others when so many of us have sometimes very unique reasons for having the many challenges that we do have in common. Being able to relate on some level while understanding someone else's perspective has been helpful in forming relationships and trust with others to guide them in the right direction.
My focus on recognizing the individual students and being transparent about who I am became so much more important to me at the two-year institutions, and that is why I absolutely love my role at these two-year institutions. It was the two-year institutions that led me to understanding that I needed to be an open role model, that I needed to be someone that individuals could indeed look up to because of what I presented to them.
I was kicked out of the Marine Corps before it was okay to be gay. Although I graduated at the top of my military training classes and schools, I took this as a firing in a sense. I was fired because I was gay, and I struggled with my acceptance because this happened to me. And that impacted my work and my relationships. And it was not until I really started believing in myself, loving myself, and loving who I am, that I was able to make my work and myself and my life really begin to flourish.
When I was really young, I grew up in a very poor neighborhood in Pico Union, downtown Los Angeles, and the first play that I ever saw was at a burned out lot, a sort of remnant of the 1961 Watts riots, and my parents took me to see a play in this burned out lot, and it was the most extraordinary thing. And it was Othello, Shakespeare's Othello, and it was a play about class and race and difference. And even as a little kid, I thought, wow, this is amazing. You can be many things. Art is a way of expression.
My proudest moments are when clients or even just individual people that I'm working with can exhibit self-reflection and creativity. So it might mean someone reflecting on a microaggression and catching themselves and saying, oh my gosh, I just made a racist comment. I'm so sorry. I realized that was racist. Or an employer switching up the healthcare insurance that they provide so that their trans employees can have access to gender-affirming care. I really don't have specific things that I'm always looking to get from the work that I do in the professional world. I just hope that people can be creative in their solutions and humble in how they conduct themselves.
Well, the work around institutional climate certainly is important because it's the institutional climate that gives us permission to feel that sense of belonging on campus. It's that institutional climate that speaks to our importance, and it's the institutional climate, I think, that truly helps us find spaces for fun. It's the institutional climate that speaks to us, it speaks to our basic needs as a human.
The thing I love the most about theater is allowing an audience to wrestle with itself and big ideas. I'm a writer, I'm a playwright, so I write the stories that allow the audience to use their imaginations, to ask themselves the big questions of the day, to wrestle with all the big issues in our culture, in our society that we want to be wrestling with. So writing is a way of creating expression, but it's also a way of thinking.
So I was working with an LGBT liaison officer, and after we worked together for a while, he went to the chief of police and suggested we do some trainings for the divisions. She was very open to that at the time, and so we got started. I trained most of the divisions and at their briefings every shift, and basically I told them about gender, what it is, I explained terminology. There's trans and non-binary folks, about their pronouns, and at the end I would always tell my story, because I truly believe that by telling your own story, that's when people really get it, and that's when they start to understand about our community, and they really change how they feel about us and how they interact with us.
What is the next step in queer liberation? Well, I would say that the next step in queer liberation, that's a great question to begin with. But for so many, the next step is to accept themselves for who they are, and really to learn that when they look in the mirror each day, how to love the image that stares back at them. And when we can love our own image, then we can find liberation.
There's a lot of work still to be done with politics, politicians, policy, in so many areas. Trans, non-binary issues, LGBTQ youth and young adult challenges, housing and homelessness, and senior issues.
Thriving. That's it. The next step in queer liberation is thriving. I want us to really all consider who we would be and what we would do if we weren't burdened by homophobia, if we weren't burdened by transphobia, if we weren't burdened by racism. Thriving looks differently for every single person, but that's the work. The work is figuring out who we would be without all of these things holding us down, and eliminating the root causes of that oppression so that we can be exactly who we're always meant to be.
What I would say to you is, please don't give up. My heart breaks for you every day when I hear about these things, and I keep you in my thoughts. Please, if you can and it's safe, come out and show people who you are. Tell people your story, because that's really important.
Well, I think it's political power, right? I think it's also economic power. I think it's also diversity. How do we embrace every single part of our queer community? How do we welcome the disabled? How do we welcome otherness into our community so that we are able to really see the vast diversity that exists inside of us? That's liberation. Liberation is the acceptance of all of us, not just the part that we see in ourselves.
Receiving this honor means the world to me. It's reaffirming that I'm in the right place and doing the right work. It reminds me that I'm not my past, and hopefully shows others that you can get past anything if given the opportunity.
Wow. Anytime somebody sees you in the world, sees you, I think we are acknowledged as real beings, human beings, as living, breathing bodies in space. To be given an award or an honor is to be seen in the world. A writer's life is a very private, a very lonely life. It's a life built in isolation. Most of the time it's me and words, writing words. So when something like this comes along, I become very conscious of the fact that community is the center of our experience. We are all members of a community, and to be acknowledged by the community is the greatest prize that one could get.
Thank you for this. I'm honored to receive this recognition, and it makes me feel good and proud and validated for all the work that I've done.
Receiving this honor means so much to me. It places value on the work that I've already done, but it's also a reminder that this work that I've done is only just the beginning. And I see it as a call to do even more, to sit in the intersections of race, sexuality, and so many other spaces where I can be impactful. Because this work is to impact generations and generations to come.
I'm deeply humbled. I hope that I can someday be as powerful and as impactful as Dr. Eggman, and as the many queer leaders who kind of paved the way for me to be able to live and love and do the work that I hope is serving my community.
I am deeply humbled by it. I realize that there are many who were nominated throughout the state, and I am deeply grateful that you've recognized my work for the past 17 years that I've done here in San Diego. And I want to thank you all, because without the California Legislature passing so many laws to protect us, to make our lives better, things would be very different. And we always seem to have your support. And it's amazing to me how many folks up at the State House are always there for us. And so thank you all for all your work that you've done and for all your support that you've given to the trans community. And thank you for this award. I am deeply honored and so very pleased.
Receiving this honor is a reaffirmation of a commitment I'm making to myself and to my community, that I won't stop doing the work that gets this kind of attention. This award means I am on the right path. I am fighting for the world that I hope we can live in. And I can do this and make myself proud and make my mom proud.
LGBTQ plus leadership is not about organizing people. Instead, it's the principle of individuals leading from their difference, their creative uniqueness, not to assimilate into the dominant culture, but to liberate and elevate those oppressed by the dominant status quo. It's not about assimilating, it's about always being different and liberating from what the status quo is. Evan Lowe, thank you so much for this honor.
Well, what an amazing video. So inspirational, and it just makes me want to get out of our Zoom homes and go march on the streets and celebrate Pride. To all of the honorees, I want to hug each and every one of you. So a virtual hug to each and every one of you. Thank you so very much for making our community so incredibly proud. And of course, we know that all is right in the world if we can help ensure that we uplift the work that you do each and every day. So on behalf of the California State Legislature, again, we honor and we thank each and every one of you. So thank you again. Of course, during the important part now, prior to getting to that, I also want to thank our very capable LGBT caucus staff and both the Assembly and Senate staff for helping to put together this video so that we can memorialize the incredible work of our honorees this 2021 as we celebrate Pride. So having said that, I know that we're all excited to hear from some of our honorees personally. So we'll get in with our first honoree, and we'll begin with the introduction of Senate Pro Tem Toni Atkins.
Roberta Achtenberg. When we recently helped the national organization Victory Fund unveil the inaugural class of their Hall of Fame, it wasn't just an accident of the alphabet that put Roberta Achtenberg's name first on the list. Roberta has been breaking down barriers, opening doors, and helping our community move forward for decades. As an attorney and then on the Board of Supervisors in San Francisco, she served as an early role model for other out-elected officials. It was a personal honor for me to serve alongside Roberta on the California State University Board of Trustees during my tenure as Speaker of the Assembly. As the very first openly LGBTQ plus person to be presidentially nominated and confirmed by the U.S. Senate, Her work on civil rights and equality has helped shape where our community is today.
Thank you very much. Roberta, are you here?
I am here.
Wonderful. Well, happy Pride. Any words of wisdoms or any brief remarks to help share with us?
Well, my gratitude to the caucus and to the chair and vice chair. I want to say to my friend Tony Atkins that there isn't a person in public life today who's done more to serve the state of California than have you, Tony Atkins, and you have my undying admiration and unequivocal support in everything that you do. To my fellow awardees, your contributions have been and will continue to be extraordinary. I know that. But what's extraordinary most of all about this LGBTQ community that I have had the privilege of serving in for more than 40 years now is that the community is filled with people of courage, just like the people who are being honored here tonight. There's nothing extraordinary about us. We are everyday people fighting for our right and the right of others to be seen as who they are. I'm very grateful to be acknowledged for my own work, but humbled by the work of so many others. And I just want to say thank you again for the recognition. As I said in the video, it means the world.
Roberto, thank you so very much. So many of us stand on your shoulders, and we know that your work continues on and your legacy continues on throughout the state. Congratulations again. And for those honorees who are still also joining us and have a chat function, feel free to give special kudos and stay in touch with each other so that you can share information and that we can help uplift our collective community as well. Next up, we have Assembly Member Sabrina Cervantes.
Happy Pride to everyone. Congratulations to each honoree. I am honored to recognize Dennis Sunny. Dennis is a Marine Corps veteran whose work within the California's manufacturing network has led to numerous technological advancements in the Inland Empire. He has dedicated so much of his career to advancing diversity and inclusion. And as Dennis says, diversity fuels innovation. I couldn't agree more with that statement. Out of his passion to educate and inspire the next generation of makers, Dennis sits on 2 STEM-related nonprofits, the Science and Technology Education Partnership Foundation and the Gardner Hope Foundation. Dennis, it is an honor to know you and to recognize you for this celebration. Congratulations.
Thank you, Assemblymember Cervantes. Thank you, Assemblymember Cervantes and the LGBTQ Caucus. An essential part of California's economy relies on the continued success of manufacturing, which is dependent on innovation. And that innovation is driven by a diverse, talented workforce. And as Assemblymember Cervantes just said, diversity, it is diversity that fuels our innovation. I'm honored to receive this recognition. I'm honored to be part of a network supporting California-made products. California leads the nation in the number of STEM-related positions that we have available. So thank you, Assemblymember Cervantes, for your continued support, for publicly speaking next to me at my side, for participating in so many manufacturing events, for inspiring our youth, demolishing stereotypes of the manufacturing industry being a testosterone-driven environment. It's not. There's some really cool tools that's used out there in manufacturing. And our next generation of makers relies on us for that inspiration. So thank you. Thank you to all my colleagues, the MEP National Network. Thank you for everything that you do.
Dennis, congratulations again. We look forward to visiting you and also helping to share the type of innovations here that are homegrown. Next up, we'll hear in an introduction from the Vice Chair of the California LGBT Legislative Caucus, Senator Susan Eggman.
My honoree this year is the fantastic, I always think of him as a prince, Lang Lungtao. Lang is was a first out LGBT person that served on the Stockton Unified School Board, and if you wanna know what I was in the military, you want to know what real service looks like, heavy combat sometimes. That's the Stockton School Board. So Lang served us proudly for 4 years and was really a groundbreaker. And he's now gone on to get his master's degree. And we know we will continue to see great things from him as the years continue to progress. So thank you, Lang, for being one of our honorees this year.
Lang, welcome.
Thank you, Assemblymember Lowe, and thank you so much, Dr. Eggman, Senator Susan Talamantes Eggman. I apologize for my appearance. I'm on vacation with my family, but by the power of Zoom, so excited to jump in with you all and kind of share space with this incredible group of LGBTQ leaders from around the state. Deeply embarrassed and also honored by Dr. Eggman's comments. And as I was reflecting on this, I'm just thinking about what it felt like to be growing up in Stockton, in the Central Valley, as a young LGBT kid. When I was growing up, there was not a San Joaquin Pride Center. There was not much in terms of role models that I had to look to for LGBTQ leaders. And yet when I was 16, I went to my first city council meeting. And that first city council meeting was actually the night that Senator Eggman was being inaugurated for her first elected office on our city council. And what I didn't know was that in the time since, Senator Eggman has been, of course, like many of our LGBTQ caucus members, working both in her elected office, but also offline to found organizations like the Pride Center to create opportunity for living and the community that we now serve now has many more examples of what it looks like to be out, proud, and also be effective in the work that we do. So I'm just honored to be in space with you all, and thank you for kind of bringing us together virtually to be with our chosen family.
Congratulations again. I hope that you'll take us with you wherever you are, and I hope you're enjoying Pride with lots of activity. So congratulations again. We look forward to seeing you in person and or at any of our other LGBT conferences, to which I know I've seen you many, many times. Congratulations again. Next up, we have Senator John Laird.
Thank you, Evan, and happy Pride to all of you. It is my pleasure to introduce my nominee as an honoree, Bob Gentry. 38 years ago, Bob became the first openly gay mayor in California and the United States, joined by two of us later that year. Bob served 3 terms on the Laguna Beach City Council. And because he was such a trailblazer, it just happened in so many different ways. He was one of the first 15 that formed the National Gay and Lesbian Elected Officials Association at the time. He and I were the entire LGBT caucus at the League of Cities for a few years, until finally we were joined by some other people and attempted resolutions every year. We lobbied in Washington, D.C. on HIV at the time of the height of the crisis, where he was a leading elected official. In every way, he's been a trailblazer. And so I'm so happy that he was able to join us tonight and serve as an honoree. So I'm pleased to introduce to you Bob Gentry.
Bob, welcome. Please feel free to unmute yourself and share any words of wisdom.
Thank you very much. I'm first going to set my timer to be sure I'm doing this correctly. But Senator John Laird, thank you for that very nice introduction. And we have been companions over the years in public office, and it means a great deal to me. I am going to be turning 83 this year, and it feels very good knowing what we have done and what we have been through. And being recognized by one's peers is the most important thing that can happen in your life. And I need to say to the LGBTQ caucus at the California Legislature that you are total role models for the rest of us. And at Monday's ceremony, when Resolution 51 and 39 were introduced in both houses, it was amazing to me to see the work you have done to get other caucuses supporting our rights and our inclusion. Oh, there goes I'm going to go over just a little. It was so important because as our democracy is eroding, and we all know that is happening currently, the one way we can turn that around is by coming together as people who have been marginalized, discriminated against, and put in positions of lack of access and power. So that will continue. And I am honored to be with the group of people that are here tonight. We all have been ourselves and authentic. And that's what's important for everybody. Being authentic and being what you can be and taking on leadership roles when you can do it is extremely important. So my hat's off my bald head to the rest of you and to the caucuses and the staff too. Jacob, you did a great job. So thank you and aloha to each of you.
That's fantastic. Well, once a mayor, always a mayor. And you do not need to just stick to your timer. This is your time to shine as fabulously as you wish. So we thank you very much for helping to provide some insights as well as having the privilege to honor you in your service. Congratulations again.
You mean I can go on now? I can talk some more?
Please feel free. Why not? Well, having said that, we look forward to staying in touch, and looks like you're at a very fun location. We're going to live vicariously through you. Next up, we'll have an introduction by our only openly LGBTQ constitutional officer in the entire state of California, none other than Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara.
Hello, Mr. Chair and members. It's great to see you all. I miss you all dearly. So great to see our honorees. Like our chairman said, I'm California Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara. I'm proud to be the first openly gay person, but not the last one. We're going to get more folks elected statewide in California. I'm a proud member of this caucus, and this group always holds a special part in my heart. So I look forward to this event every year. Congratulations to the honorees. Tonight we celebrate our pride, and as we celebrate, I hope we don't forget that pride began as a riot. We stand on the shoulders of giants who stood together and fought against police brutality and homophobia so that we could collectively live our authentic lives open and free. I'm so proud of my honoree. You got to see some snippets of him in the video. He couldn't make it today because he's teaching class, but someone who has always channeled his fierceness and his voice is Luis Alfaro. I'm proud to just talk about him tonight. Luis is a Chicano performance artist, a poet, a writer, theater director, associate professor, and a social activist who has unmatched ability to create art at the intersection of Chicano, LGBTQ, and working class themes. He's a recipient of the MacArthur Foundation's Genius Grant, and award-winning artist who is Emmy nominated. Luis has spent over 2 decades in Los Angeles poetry community. He's written plays that are toured across the world, and he is the first playwright in residence in the 90-year history of the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, the largest theater company in the United States. Luis truly represents the very best of our queer Chicano community. His creative talent is unmatched, and I'm so honored to have recognized him tonight. And so again, thank you to our caucus. Es un placer aquí estar con todos ustedes. Feliz orgullo a todos. Y hoy celebramos y mañana continuamos en nuestra lucha. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair and members. I love you all very much. Happy Pride.
Commissioner Lara, we miss seeing you in person.
Everyone, this is Luis Alfaro coming to you from Los Angeles. Thank you so much for this wonderful, wonderful award to the California Legislative LGBTQ Caucus. I'm so grateful. Okay, so here's my 1-minute elevator speech. I live in a city of 10 million people who speak over 224 different languages, who live in over 400 neighborhoods. The great port city, here at the Pacific Rim. We haven't even begun to tell our story. And as an artist, you're honoring me by being seen, allowing me to be seen. My job is to interpret, to translate, to channel the stories of our people. And this opportunity gives me a chance to widen the net, to always unpack another story that exists in our city. And I am so grateful to all of you for that. So thank you so much. Have a great night.
Commissioner Lara, we understand exactly why you had the opportunity to nominate and why you chose to select your honorees. Thank you very much for that. As I said earlier, we miss seeing you in person, so I hope that we're going to see you in person soon.
Yes, absolutely. I'll be up there next week for the first time. I'm so excited.
Good. Well, we'll put on those marching shoes because we're so accustomed to seeing you in the parades too, all throughout the state. So we'll have a comeback next year. Next up, we have Assembly Member Alex Lee.
Hi, everyone. Assemblymember Alex Lee representing the counties of Alameda and Santa Clara counties. And while my phone is still alive, I wanted to introduce my fantastic nominee, Kim Tran. And as you heard from the video, and you'll hear from her very soon, she's definitely someone I want to be when I grow up. You know, for me, a key theme of Pride, especially this year, is intersectionality. We, luckily, as a community, sit at the intersection of a lot of different identities, if it's your gender, your race, your creeds, whatever it may be. And we have a duty, I think, in our community to constantly use that to our advantage to push for liberation for all people. And Kim has done this throughout her life work, training and educating people towards liberation. And really, that's how we're going to do it. Growing our community through understanding and inclusion. That's how we'll do it. So you don't want to hear too much from me, but let's hear from Kim Tran herself.
Thank you so much, Assemblymember Alex Lee, for this nomination. And thank you to the caucus for this honor. In my short lifetime, I have seen so much change already. What queer folks do behind closed doors went from being illegal to legal. Thank you. My fiance and I went from not being able to get married to seeing gay wedding gear at Crate and Barrel. Last year, in 2020, we finally received federal protections for queer and trans folks in the workplace. As a recipient of this award, I am thrilled. I also know deep in my heart that we are nowhere near done. And I hope this is the moment that we can turn our focus toward the disproportionate number of queer and trans people who are incarcerated, the queer and trans people who are houseless, the queer and trans folks who are experiencing police brutality, like Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera, who were there that first night at the Stonewall riots. So to everyone on this call, thank you and happy Pride. I appreciate this honor and I am so grateful for this recognition. And what I hope it means is that all of us, every single one, can keep fighting for queer and trans liberation together.
Congratulations again, Kim. We hope that you'll stay connected with us and you'll keep us posted on how we can also support the work that you're doing as well. Congratulations. Next up, I'll be introducing Dr. Lloyd Holmes, president of De Anza Community College. Of course, a deep sense of personal privilege and pride as I am a graduate of De Anza College, but the diversity and support of diversity and inclusion starts at the top. Kudos, of course, to our Chancellor Judy Minor and also President Nguyen at Foothill College. But this is about Dr. Holmes tonight and helping to ensure that we are fighting for those most in need, especially right now. And as president of De Anza Community College, it's challenging that much more given the relationship to the state and also the complexity of funding at the local levels and regional levels as well. So we know that you're up to the challenge. Dr. Holmes, on behalf of the California State Legislative LGBT Caucus, congratulations on your honor today.
Thank you so much. We all have the ability to make a difference in the lives of others. Each day gives us an opportunity to positively impact those around us. I'm truly honored to be one of the 12 individuals being recognized this evening, and I'm grateful to you, Assemblymember Evan Lowe, for putting my name forward for this honor. This recognition is a reminder that I have received so much and I have a responsibility to give to others. This recognition is a continued call to live my life out and proud so that those who look like me, are like me, or wish they could live proudly like me will see hope in their present and future. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, President Holmes. I look forward to seeing you very, very soon. And thank you again for your commitment and making sure that no student is left behind. Next up, I'll recognize Drew Lloyd, a dear friend of mine, but you heard about his introduction, specifically in his work at the Billy DeFrank LGBT Community Center. And as we know, the brick and mortars of community centers are facing that much more challenging times, not just during COVID, but also in the evolution of our community. But it's been a place of gathering for so many of us. Drew is also serving as president of BAMEC, a nonpartisan political action committee, helping to uplift members of the LGBT community and helping to ensure equality in local city councils and school boards and holding public officials accountable to support our LGBT community. With that said, congratulations, Drew. I'm so honored to recognize you tonight. Happy Pride. Welcome.
Thank you, Assemblymember Lowe, and to the entire LGBT Legislative Caucus. What an honor to be here today and recognized by such an important collective of individuals and to be included with such amazing folks. When I was a kid growing up Mormon in Salt Lake City, I knew I was different. I would cry myself to sleep at night, wishing and praying I would awaken as someone different or something different. I continued to try and make a deal with God, if only He would make me straight. I finally chose to accept who I was, live my life for me, and come out at the age of 23. And thank God I made it through. That was many years ago, and things were very different back then. Today, we're a mass in a sea of rainbows during the month of June. What a joy it would have been to have seen this as a kid, growing up, having the knowledge of knowing I was not alone. Earlier this month, I was thrilled to represent BAMEC in spreading a few more rainbows as we raised the rainbow flag in the city of Gilroy for the first time ever. Many people never thought that they'd see it happen in the garlic capital of the world, but with persistence, it became a reality. I love Pride, but cannot forget the bigotry and the hate that we often face as we celebrate our progress. It clearly affirms the continued need for us to work diligently harder, celebrate our accomplishments, and continue to affirm our work to forge ahead. In the words of Bernard Baruch, be who you are and say what you feel, because those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. I want to thank my wonderful husband of almost 15 years, an amazing chef also, Frank, and our three wonderful boys, Rocky the Beagle, Truffles the French Bulldog, and Chips the English Bulldog. Happy Pride Month to you all. Thank you so much.
Drew, I miss you. Congratulations.
I miss you too.
I can't wait to see you again in person. So please take me up on that. And you can just see why Drew has been such a gem in Silicon Valley and beyond. Congratulations again. Next up, we have Assemblymember Chris Ward.
Well, good evening from San Diego. It is my pleasure to be here to introduce my representative from the 78th Assembly District to recognize the work of a true trailblazer and advocate in the San Diego region, our friend Connor Maddox. Connor's been a leader in our community for nearly 2 decades. He's been instrumental in local advocacy and civil rights efforts to ensure that our transgender and broader LGBTQ community are treated with the respect and dignity that we deserve. And among his many achievements, Connor has been recognized as a champion of pride, recipient of the Harvey Milk Civil Rights Award, and was officially inducted into the San Diego LGBT Center's Community Wall of Honor. I tell you, every time you get a chance to meet Connor, he is just a beacon of positivity. He's a just welcoming ambassador to the center and to many of our community events. Today, it's my pleasure to introduce him to all of you and recognize Connor Maddox as the 78th Assembly District's Pride Honoree of the year. Congratulations, Connor.
Thank you, Chris. It's an amazing honor to be here. And I see that you're out somewhere by the ocean with a nice breeze blowing. So I'll meet you down there later. Thank you, Assemblymember Lowe. This is such an honor for me because it's from all over the state. There are so many people who have done so much amazing work, and to be included among them is truly quite a thing for me. I want folks to always remember that, I advocate for the trans community because I'm a transgender man. We are the most marginalized community. We are a community who loses our members, our trans brothers, our trans women of color to violence constantly. Every year it's getting worse and worse. We can't forget the struggle that's still going on, that we still need to fight, that we need all of you as our allies. We can't do this alone. We need to find a solution to raise up our trans siblings. I always like to remind folks that when we say the word gay pride, you're leaving out all of the trans people in the state. We are part of the LGBT, and some of us are gay and some of us are not. So when you say pride, if we can say LGBTQ pride, or just pride, which includes everybody, that would be awesome. And I didn't really come here to school you all, but it kind of is happening anyway. So, I've worked long, but the truth of it is that without my siblings here in San Diego to work with me, things wouldn't happen. And without the amazing lawmakers up in Sacramento, members of the caucus that have always continued to pass laws that enrich our lives. We have some of the best laws in the country to protect and enhance the lives of transgender people. And I thank you so much for that. It's just amazing when other people hear what we have. So I want to just say thank you and congratulations to all of the other honorees. You're all amazing. And I'm humbled to be in your company. And I wish everybody a happy Pride. And to my trans siblings and my non-binary siblings, just stand tall out there and stand proud and stand together. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride, Connor. Thank you very much for that reminder and to help provide additional context. I think we're continually learning with grace and also recognition of the strength of our diversity in our LGBTQ plus community. Congratulations again.
Thank you, Evan.
Thank you. Thank you very much to our honorees again for your incredible work to our community, and to our LGBT caucus members. As you know, they work each and every day so hard to leave their homes each week to come to the state capitol fighting for all of us. And they do so with a deep sense of pride. So thank you again to our LGBT Legislative Caucus members and to our honorees. We'll also be recognizing tonight 2 honorees posthumously so that we may commemorate their accomplishments and their legacies. Pro Tem Atkins has nominated both and will be speaking on their accomplishments. We will also be hearing from their loved ones on their behalf. With that, we'll pass it over to Pro Tem Tony Atkins.
Larry Baza. San Diego and the LGBTQ+ community have lost one of our very best this past February with the passing of Larry Baza. From the early days of the United Farm Workers to what was then known as the Gay Liberation Movement, Larry was a dedicated activist who devoted his life to advancing civil and worker rights. More recently, Larry served as the chair of the California Arts Council, a role that allowed his passion for the arts to have statewide impact. This passion, shared by his beloved partner, Tom Noel, will continue to be part of an important legacy that Tom will carry forward to honor Larry and their collective life's work.
And we have Larry's partner, Tom, with us. Welcome, Tom. Let's see, Tom, if you might be able just to unmute, or we can help try to do that for you. Oh, there we go. Welcome. Happy Pride.
Thank you, Assembly Member Lowe. And thank you, Senator Atkins. Larry would be truly honored to receive this recognition tonight. And he would take a moment to congratulate the other honorees. He would be particularly pleased to receive this award alongside such an amazing group of dedicated activists, artists, and political leaders, and his fellow San Diegans, George Murphy and Connor Maddox. Larry believed that individuals can make a huge difference in their communities by committing themselves to a goal. I stood beside him for 37 years as he pursued his goals of equality for all and a greater access to arts education, and as he advocated for the power and the importance of art itself in our lives. On behalf of myself and the Baza family, congratulations to all of you, and thank you very much to the California Legislative LGBTQ Caucus. Good night.
Thank you very much, Tom. Happy Pride to you.
Thank you.
Well, next up, on our final honoree, we'll have a video from Pro Tem Tony Atkins.
George Murphy. It's hard to think of an area or community that George Murphy wasn't involved with or had a role in founding. From the start of our LGBTQ Community Center and the very critical crisis line to the AIDS Foundation and his ministry work at the Metropolitan Community Church, to his support and early leadership in the San Diego Democratic Club, as well as his involvement in the historic victory electing his friend Christine Kehoe to the City Council. George's compassion and leadership was visible and clear to all who knew and worked with him. George's involvement extended beyond issues of equality and inclusion to the broader community, shown by his engagement in his beloved Ocean Beach neighborhood, on the Planning Commission, and with the library there. George's genuine warmth and his quiet strength guided so many of us in our own leadership roles. His example inspired us to work even harder to make San Diego a better place for all.
And I understand that we're joined tonight by George Murphy's niece, Darcy. Darcy, welcome.
Hello. Very inspiring. I'm very inspired by all of you. And I'm here to represent the Murphy family and George's very large, extensive chosen family, especially his daughter, Erin King, who was unable to be here tonight. And I'm just very, very pleased to accept this honor on his behalf. We miss George. He passed away last November. But if he were here today, you know, he would flash his cheerful smile. And I know that he would be so, so proud to receive this honor and along with all of you. You know, in the early 70s, San Diego was, you know, it was a pretty conservative place. And I think that George wanted to be what he knew that other people also needed. And so he and 3 other men founded the first center in San Diego. And today that center is, you know, fully established, and the LGBT community is very served and supported. And I think in using his skills and his energy and his privileges, George became a leader, and he became someone who just worked tenaciously to assist and to advocate for the people of the community and their families. You know, George was an original influencer. He was an LGBTQ+ pioneer and a trailblazer. He was a friend, he was a father figure, he was an uncle, he was a mentor, he was an advocate for many, many people over his lifetime. You know, he believed in the democratic process, and he did his part day in and day out. He really believed in it. And, you know, he was also a dedicated academic counselor and an educator. He was a deacon at the Metropolitan Community Church in San Diego for many, many years. George was well loved. He did a lot of good things for people, for many, many people, and he was well loved. So I'd like to say thank you to all of you and to all of the committed and generous people like you and like George. You know, that the collective work that's been done has greatly paid off. I can see it in my own lifetime. You know, that it's evident in the robustness and the empowered LGBT community that exists today, and that today can meet all of the challenges that some of you have mentioned, and how difficult it is for so many still today. So again, on behalf of George's family and his friends, I know that George would be just so proud of this. So thank you.
Well, Darcy, thank you very much for representing George and the legacy that continues on in our community. Happy Pride and congratulations again. Thank you again to Pro Tem Atkins, Tom and Darcy again for your remarks. And the LGBT Legislative Caucus is so very proud of all of our honorees in this 2021. It's been a difficult year, but we're very prideful, not just for the state's reopening, but because of the work of so many of our honorees. And our work continues, that we must not let up. And we must, again, uplift each and every one of us, especially as we reopen safely and do all the work that we can. So again, happy Pride. Well, now then, just ask to wrap it up if Alina can go on and pass it along to take a group photo. So if you all just, we'll be hearing from Alina, our LGBTQ Legislative Caucus staff member, to organize us all for a photo. Alina, take it from here.
Hold on really quickly. I'm waiting for the Zoom to end over. I'm going to end the stream.
It's like you're the voice of God.